Aloha and good afternoon. Welcome to This Is Now. President Biden's son, Hunter Biden, who is facing tax and gun charges, made rare comments on Capitol Hill today.
Yeah, it comes as the Republican-led House of Representatives gets ready to take the next step toward the possible impeachment of President Biden. Natalie Brand has the latest from Capitol Hill.
President Biden's son, Hunter Biden, arrived on Capitol Hill Wednesday after being subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee, which is leading an impeachment inquiry into his father.
I'm here today to make sure that the House Committee's illegitimate investigations of my family do not proceed on distortions, manipulated evidence, and lies.
Hunter Biden insisted he will only testify in a public hearing, not behind closed doors as the committee requested.
I'm here. I'm ready.
Republicans pushed back.
We expect to depose the president's son, and then we will be more than happy to have a public hearing with him.
The rare comments come days after Hunter Biden was indicted on tax evasion charges. He is also facing gun charges. House Republicans have been investigating whether President Biden improperly benefited from foreign business dealings allegedly involving Hunter and other family members. Hunter Biden, who's recovering from addiction, admitted he made mistakes in his life, but forcefully denied any wrongdoing by his father, President Biden.
My father was not financially involved in my business, not as a practicing lawyer, not as a board member of Burisma.
Republicans in the House plan to vote to formalize the impeachment inquiry of President Biden as early as today.
We think the House of Representatives will go on record with a power that solely resides in the House.
Many Republicans hope that making the investigation more official will help them enforce subpoenas. The months-long investigation has not found direct evidence of wrongdoing by the president. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy made his case for more funding for his war-torn country. Now, Zelenskyy met with President Biden yesterday. NBC's Bree Jackson has more from Washington.
President Zelenskyy delivering an in-person message to leaders in Washington, emphasizing the urgent need for continuing aid to Ukraine.
We are fighting for our country and freedom, and also in Europe, we say for our freedom and yours.
The Ukrainian president met with lawmakers as part of a last-ditch effort to secure nearly $60 billion in funding.
President Zelenskyy made it so clear how he needs help, but if he gets the help, he can win this war.
There is bipartisan support for sending more money to both Ukraine and Israel, but Congress is struggling to reach a deal. House Speaker Mike Johnson says Republicans also want other priorities met.
We needed clarity on what we're doing in Ukraine and how we'll have proper oversight of the spending of precious taxpayer dollars of the American citizens, and we needed a transformative change at the border. Thus far, we've gotten neither.
GOP lawmakers say at this point in negotiations, it's unlikely an agreement will be reached by the end of this year.
I think it's going to take the president himself telling his cabinet and telling his staff, get this done.
After hosting Zelenskyy at the White House, President Biden stressing Congress must act.
The world's watching what we do. Would just send a horrible message to an aggressor and allies if we walked away at this time.
President Biden also announcing $200 million in pre-approved aid for Ukraine. President Zelenskyy has visited Washington several times since the war in Ukraine began. The Biden administration announced nearly $325 million aid package for Ukraine after Zelenskyy's visit back in September. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
And today, President Biden met with the families of the Americans being held hostage by Hamas. The private in-person meeting comes 2 months after President Biden first met with them over Zoom. The meetings with the family members of 8 Americans lasted about 2 hours, according to 2 people familiar with the discussions. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Deputy National Security Advisor John Feiner also attended the meetings. The president even took the family members on a tour of the West Wing, including the Oval Office. Speaking outside of the West Wing, the family described the meeting as terrific.
The head of training for the Public Safety Department is in trouble with the law again. Marty Martinez was arrested on suspicion of DUI at around 10:40 last night by HPD officers. According to the arrest log, the 58-year-old was picked up near Miller Street and Punch Bowl. She posted $500 bail and was released. Martinez is awaiting sentencing after admitting she made up college transcripts 2 months after a Hawaii News Now investigation questioned her credentials to get to the top of PSD's training division. She remains on paid leave from the state.
A convicted drug trafficker has been sentenced. 29-year-old Cyrus Croskery of Oahu will serve 25 years in prison for conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine and fentanyl and for possession of a firearm for drug trafficking. The judge also imposed 5 years of supervised release consecutive to Croskery's prison term. He had been detained since his arrest and will begin serving his prison sentence immediately. Well, many people are against building walls along the Alawai Canal, but engineers say that's exactly what's needed to prevent a destructive flood. Our Eddie Dowd reports on the public feedback and the mayor's initiative.
Driving along the Alawai Canal, there is a clear line of sight. You can see the golf course, you can even see the mountains, but that could all change with a proposed plan to build a wall that could be more than 6 feet tall, blocking views to prevent flooding. The Army Corps of Engineers wants to build walls 6 to 9 feet high along both sides of the Alawai Canal and continuing up to waterways in Manoa and Palolo. It's a proposal that's gone through years of debate and redrafting. On Tuesday night, residents voiced their concerns about the latest proposal to government officials.
The resulting project, 6 to 9 foot walls at over $1 billion, is very sad.
Driving along the Alawai with your plan as it is now, all we'll see is that wall.
When we block our view and polluting dirty water for another 100 years.
We're going to have a field day with graffiti artists, and we will have tourists that will drop off entirely.
What's different about this plan is the sidewalk would be elevated so pedestrians could see over it to the waterway and beyond.
We got to get this engineering, we got to get this solution correct. It's about allowing people to still enjoy that space.
Honolulu's mayor told the group he's determined to see this plan through to prevent catastrophic damage from a severe flood and prevent potential loss of life.
In Maui, they knew years ago about their liability. Would you rather deal with $12 billion of destruction, or would you rather deal with trying to come up with some money to protect ourselves from having something like that happen? I would not want to be in the destruction phase of this.
Current plans have the federal government paying for about 65% of the $1 billion project, with the city paying the rest. But the mayor says he is trying to get the feds to pay 90%.
And I made it pretty clear once we learned what the prices were to see what we could negotiate. We've already been on the phone more than a couple of times with Senator Schatz and our congressional delegation.
This was the first public listening session in a required 45-day comment period that ends in January. The input will be included in a report due sometime out next summer.
What we're doing here right now is anticipation of a different world that we live in as far as climate and weather events, and we need to do something about that.
Eddie Dowd, Hawaii News Now.
Hawaii Senator Brian Schatz is pushing for faster and more consistent relief funding for those impacted by the Maui wildfires. Schatz led a hearing on Capitol Hill this week to highlight his new bill, the Reforming Disaster Recovery Act. The bipartisan legislation is designed to strengthen HUD's disaster recovery program and provide immediate help for those in need who are recovering from a natural disaster.
Lahaina is just one example. Every community devastated by a disaster deserves help that is timely, predictable, consistent, and proportional to the needs of the recovery. And so while Congress took an important step in September to fund FEMA's disaster relief, much more is needed.
Schatz went on to say his bill would help communities plan fast and recover faster. To date, Hawaii has received more than $412 million in federal funds for the response to the fires.
Work has begun to unpack the pipelines in the Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility. Unpacking is the process of removing the remaining fuel from the pipelines and represents the final step in the gravity-based defueling process, which has already removed more than 103 million gallons of fuel. The Joint Task Force says there are about 174,000 gallons left in the pipes, and that should take about a week to remove. The Navy plans to start closing the site as soon as February. The Washington Post says the Chinese military is increasing its cyber attacks on American infrastructure, hacking into more than 24 computer systems in the past year, including an unnamed water utility in Hawaii. Several counties across the state have publicly acknowledged past cyber attacks, targeting government payroll systems, UH campuses, and the undersea cables connecting Hawaii to the West Coast. Agencies have even paid ransoms to regain access to their systems. Last year, the state published a cyber disruption response plan in connection with the Office of Homeland Security. Delegates at the World Climate Summit have agreed to a long-term goal to give up fossil fuels that cause climate change. Now, this is the first time a mention of fossil fuels appears in an international climate agreement. Tina Kraus has more.
It is so decided.
Nearly 200 nations have approved a first-ever call for the world to transition away from planet-warming fossil fuels.
This is the fastest, simplest, easiest, quickest, cheapest way to be able to make the gains we need to make to reduce the threat to the planet.
Climate negotiators struck the deal in Dubai after 13 days of hard-fought talks in a country built on oil wealth. Scientists say emissions from oil, gas, and coal are the main driver of climate change. The U.S. is the second largest emitter after China.
This has the potential to be the beginning of a new era, the post-fossil era.
The agreement aims to triple the amount of renewable energy sources by 2030 while relying less on fossil fuels, substantially reduce methane emissions, another potent greenhouse gas this decade, and achieve net zero carbon emissions globally by mid-century.
This text is not enough.
Climate activists, along with many countries, including the U.S., argued for tougher language to completely phase out fossil fuels.
But we know this was a compromise between many parties.
Scientists say breaking away from fossil fuels is the last best hope to stave off a climate catastrophe. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
11 weeks after Maui County started reopening Lahaina's burn zones, all 83 zones are now accessible to residents with vehicle passes. That's about 5 miles covering 2,200 acres along Front Street and Honopi'ilani Highway. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is now awaiting right of entry approval to begin clearing debris and hazardous material. The Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement is looking for both gifts and volunteers to help brighten the holidays of Keiki in West Maui. Our Chelsea Davis has this story.
Presents are pouring in to Ka Ko'omaui. Staff at the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement's resource hub at the Maui Mall are collecting gifts for their toy drive, Makana for Maui. These gifts will be wrapped and given to Keiki affected by the August fires.
Our goal was to bring joy to many kids who had to endure some of the pains that happened earlier on because of the wildfires, and this included families that lost their home and or job.
They're collecting presents until Friday. Anyone can participate. We at Hawaii News Now collected hundreds of toys.
Hawaii News Now just doing our part to make sure that we're supporting our keiki from the island of Maui.
And Drill Team Hawaii also stepping in and helping out.
Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement's Ka Ko'omaui has collected more than 500 toys so far for their toy drive, Makana for Maui. But now they need gift wrappers.
Hey! And the kokua continues. Maui girl Sarah Smith, owner of Rapoli, is donating all the wrapping paper. Rapoli is an eco-friendly gift wrapping company founded on Maui 10 years ago.
I am so happy to donate the paper for this toy drive. I grew up in Lahaina.
Lahaina, and so just to be able to give back in one small way. I really love wrapped gifts. I think that whole experience of unwrapping a gift, it's very visceral and it feels so good, and it definitely conjures up a lot of great feelings for the holidays. So to be able to give that little moment of joy to children and families that have been through so much pain this year is just, it feels so good, and I'm so happy to be able to give back.
So they have the makana, they have the wrapping paper, they just need helping hands. Truly a kākou effort to kākou Maui this Christmas. Reporting in Kahului, Chelsea Davis, Hawaii News Now.
Regulators in Washington want to make it easier for you to switch TV providers. The Federal Communications Commission is proposing new restrictions on fees imposed on subscribers who want to change service providers. The proposal would also allow partial refunds for subscribers who cancel mid-month. It's part of President Biden's executive order from 2021 that directs the federal government to find ways to boost competition. Biden has also been outspoken about eliminating so-called junk fees. Republicans on the FCC's commission voted against the proposal, but they were defeated by Democrats on a 3-2 vote. The FCC will now open it up to public feedback before taking a final vote. All right, let's hele on to our home island, Dylan, of Kauai. This is Hanalei on the North Shore. The temperature, my phone is telling me, is 71 degrees, which seems
cool.
Really chilly for Hawaii standards, but there
Winter
you go.
kind things is why.
That's right. Well, we're going to have more details on your local forecast with Billy V after this quick break.
So we'll move this towards this afternoon in your afternoon commute. There you're leaving Kauai, but you've got it over the island of Oahu and starting to affect the islands of Maui County. We go to tomorrow midnight, and you can see Maui County, Hawaii Island on the east side, and then tomorrow morning's commute, Thursday morning, you can see that Maui County and Hawaii Island missing Kona, missing the south side of Hawaii Island, and then the front clear. So that's kind of your timetable. Here is, as we break it down, your 7-day forecast. Once again, today and tomorrow are highlighted in red because of the strong and gusty winds and the possibility of heavy rain. And then after that, we get towards the weekend. We got nice trade wind weather, and we got trade wind weather plus after that.
In news from the feeds, Senate Democrats are urging the federal government to require Epipens on commercial flights. Epipens, or epinephrine autoinjectors, treat severe and often life-threatening allergic reactions. Senators Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer, and Ed Markey wrote a letter to the Federal Aviation Administration saying it has a glaring gap in its in-flight emergency kits. According to the letter, the FAA standards only requires that airlines carry epinephrine in syringes designed for a cardiac emergency. According to a 2018 study, in-flight medical emergencies occur on about 1 in every 604 flights. Nearly 2% of those are allergic reactions. Passengers can bring their own medically necessary EpiPens onto planes. And don't forget to check out Investigates TV right after This Is Now at 12:30 on K5. Here's a look at one of their stories.
Next time on Investigate TV Plus, drug overdoses killing hundreds of people every day.
We're very scared. We're afraid, that the death rates will continue to go up.
How some cities across the country are dispensing a unique solution.
Well, it's time for some good news. A woman from Raleigh, North Carolina is using the gift of music to express herself. Check out this story from News Nation.
At St. Francis by the Sea.
She was in her room singing, and it just felt like it was part of what she was supposed to do.
I've been singing ever since I can remember. When I was little, I pretty much sang everywhere I went, any chance I had.
Mary Michael's voice.
I'm extremely thankful to be able to do what I do.
Hits the right note for people.
Just to be able to be what you're singing, to express it as if you are feeling whatever it is that you're singing about.
Singing. On stage, without knowing how many people are watching.
I was born totally blind, without any eyes or optic nerve.
Mary can't hear well out of her left ear, but still, she keeps to the beat. With each and every song.
For me to be able to do what I'm doing is like, I can't believe it's a God thing.
I'm so glad she has music, because music really is Mary's life. Singing for other people is just what she was born to do. Sometimes I'm behind the soundboard with tears in my eyes get wet. I never tire of hearing Mary sing. So first of all, I just love it. And then I love what people are about to experience.
Her voice is bringing people together in harmony.
I know how much joy it brought to me when I heard music, and when I knew that I could bring that joy to other people, I understood what it felt like.
Others feel that joy too, as she performs several holiday shows this month.
Christmas is the time where you reflect, am I being who I'm supposed to be? Am I doing everything that I can to give instead of receive?
And in the spirit of Christmas, sharing her talent with others.
Many ways, Merry Christmas.
It's that ounce of joy that they feel when they walk out that they may or may not have had when they walked in.
Using her gift to change the lives of those around her.
It is like destiny, because I cannot imagine doing something else that fulfilling. It is magical.
So beautiful.
What a talent.
Yeah.
All right, one final story for you guys. So a Chihuahua had the adventure of a lifetime when he got loose on a busy highway in New York. Jeannie Moose has the story.
That's no high occupancy vehicle racing alongside the HOV lane. That's a Chihuahua. This Chihuahua, named Bean had drivers jumping on the Staten Island Expressway.
That dog never tired.
He was so fast. It was ridiculous.
Caitlin McGinley was one of about 20 motorists who did everything from stopping and getting out to try to catch Bean to forming a blockade to protect him. But even good Samaritans had bad moments.
The most heart-stopping moment for me was when the dog went underneath my car. I thought I killed it.
But Bean reappeared on the other side of her car, crossing 4 lanes of traffic. Katie stopped and tried to grab him, but he whipped past.
Another thing that I was thinking in my head was, what is insurance gonna say? If my car gets hit, if all these cars get hit, we tell them that a Chihuahua was on the highway.
Finally, Ella Wajda's husband dropped her off and she chased the Chihuahua for about half a mile. Did that not seem a little bit dangerous?
It was dangerous at the beginning.
But a blockade formed to protect Ella's lane. They managed to corral Bean under Caitlin's vehicle. He wasn't exactly grateful.
Little nippy. Yeah, he almost bit me, but that's okay.
They used a jacket to scoop him up and put him in a bag. In no time, Bean was recognized in a lost dog Facebook post and reunited with his owner an hour after the chase. Now, the famous Bean has his own Instagram. It turns out Ella the runner recently ran in the New York City Marathon. What place did you come in?
Oh, it was like 26,000.
But she took first place in the Chihuahua chase. Jeannie Mose, CNN.
It's always the Chihuahuas. Oh my goodness. Let's send you live outside to Kauai one more time. More rain is coming down. Stay dry wherever you are. Thank you all so much for watching. This is Now.